All right. So today I am joined by Matt and Mark Sanders, and we're going to talk about Matt's giant 5-point bull that he shot this year. I got to say, when I saw pictures of that thing, I was like, man, I wonder if they'd ever be interested in sharing that story, because that bull was one of the coolest bulls I think I saw photos of from this last season. So I appreciate you coming in and being willing to share a little bit about your experience with that bull.
We're happy to share it. We really enjoyed that hunt.
Well, cool. And you guys are both residents of Lander.
Yes.
Have you guys been here pretty much your whole lives, or?
1996 is when we moved here.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Where'd you move from?
We moved from Shirley Rim, south of Casper.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And I'm assuming you've probably been a hunter your whole life?
Yes.
What's your favorite species to go after? Just curious.
That's tough. I like hunting elk and mule deer real well.
Mark, I could probably guess what yours is, but you a deer guy?
I'm a mule deer guy, but it's probably because I've been duped so many times. I guess I'm still chasing the one.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about an elk unit that I hunted this year, and I keep telling myself during the season, I'm like, I'm never coming back here. But I felt duped this year, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go back in there. I got a bone to pick with those elk in that unit, so I can relate to that. How many times have you guys hunted this unit before?
You were the first one to hunt it, probably back in 2012 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We've had pretty good success there, and if we haven't killed a good bull there, we've had the opportunity to kill some good bulls in there.
Do you find much pressure in there during archery, or because you guys hunt archery and rifle in there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Does it get much pressure?
And
maybe it depends on the year. Or?
Where we killed this bull, there were some people running around.
Oh, really?
Yes, there was.
Plenty of people. Normally I like to get away, so even if I'm not, I guess, in a ton of alcohol, I just keep going until I run out of people.
That's usually how I like to approach things. Sometimes it's harder to do that in certain units than others. So I'm assuming you were pretty excited when you saw that you drew that unit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we put a fair amount of effort into it. We already had a pretty good idea where we wanted to hunt, and I drew it 2 years previous.
Okay.
So
how'd you do 2 years ago in there? Just curious.
Killed a pretty good bull with my bow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 6-point bull. He wasn't as big as this bull, but a really nice bull.
Do you guys prefer bow versus rifle, or is it kind of 50-50 for you? Like me, I prefer the bow, but tell you the honest truth, I haven't really put forth any honest effort to hunt with anything else since I was in high school. But
I prefer bow hunting just because you're so close to the animals and it's so exciting. Mm-hmm. But I still really enjoy rifle hunting also.
I'm pretty sure you guys probably bow hunted this particular elk during archery season. Yeah. Did you know he was in there then?
Yeah, that's what was exciting about it. I've never been a part of being able to hunt an elk and actually harvest him myself. I've never, and we saw him 4 or 5 days before that.
Yeah.
Before you got him with the rifle, not to skip too far ahead here, but so you'd laid eyes on him during that archery season 4 or 5 days earlier.
Yeah, and we saw him. Mark videotaped, I think I did too, and you could kind of see him through the trees, and they were bugling. It was a pretty good bunch of elk, probably 50 or 60 head. There was one bigger bull than him in there, but
really?
I was between those two bulls. If we had an opportunity for either one of those, that's what
you took what you could of the two.
Yeah, and I like no regrets.
I like the 5-point better. The 6-point actually broke his whole sword off.
Oh, really?
Like 2 days before the rifle opened.
Oh, really?
So
dang.
I was good with the 5. I was real good with the 5-point.
Well, I've got this fascination with big 5s. I've always wanted to shoot a big 5. I've been close once in my life. It's kind of a long story, but it was really close. And it was just a monster. And when I saw that thing, I was like, these 5 points are pretty cool. Yeah. So it's
well, I've been fortunate enough to kill 2 big ones, 2 big 5 points.
Oh, really?
I killed one in a general area in 2016 that just scores 10 points less than this guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Probably 10 miles from where I killed this bull.
Oh, really? Huh. Yeah, someday. Like I said, I've only actually seen one big 5-point, but I got close to it. just didn't quite work out, but as oftentimes happens. So backtracking here, when you guys found out that you drew that unit, was it you guys didn't obviously party apply? It was kind of individual, just to up your chances of somebody drawing it. Is that what you do?
We individually put in now. We used to always party. I like to go, whether I have the tag or not.
Right.
I just like to go. I like that country, and
that's the way to do it.
I just like to go with.
Right. So. It ups your opportunity to maybe be in there hunting with somebody, even if you don't have the tag. So that makes sense. So when you guys found out you drew that, how'd you start I'm assuming you scouted the heck out of it, and how'd you kind of start the season off? Or I guess preseason.
That's usually my gig, but that's going to change because he's retiring. But I'll run in and just start setting cameras and drainages, and then I usually start that around early to mid-July, and then I'll just leave cameras be till mid to late August, and we'll run in and kind of try and figure out what's where and kind of see if there's any sort of pattern, because elk actually are, I didn't realize this until a few years ago, but they're pretty patternable actually. They're I don't want to completely compare them to whitetail because I'm not a huge whitetail fan, but they do similar things throughout the summer. It's just a lot bigger area than like whitetail, so that's kind of how we started.
Interesting. I know some people that set trail cams for elk, but it seemed to me like they always did it just as something to do. And I always wondered, like, how much can you really learn from those trail cameras preseason and then apply it later during the hunt? But it sounds like you're saying, like, you can learn quite a bit. Might be worth doing, because I've always just kind of blown off the idea of setting trail cameras for elk.
At first it was like just getting myself into shape. 3, 4, it might have even been 5 years ago. I checked a couple cameras in very far apart areas, and the same bull was on them. And it almost, it was like every 4 or 5 days he would hit a camera, and then 4 or 5 days later he'd hit the other camera. And I just, I kind of think he was making a big circle, maybe later August, starting to check cows.
So how many photos did you get of this bull preseason then?
Of his bull?
Yeah.
We actually didn't get any of his bull.
Oh, so you never saw it?
We threw well, I got pictures, in-person pictures.
Oh, okay.
Of him.
When you were up there checking cameras or what?
Nope. I ended up getting sick. So we completely ditched that area because my lungs were not super great.
Right.
And it was a ways in. We usually take the goat. We're planning on taking goats in. So we tried just a little spot that was not as far to walk just to see how my lungs would do. And we ended up finding this 5-point.
Oh, okay. So you weren't quite as far in as what maybe your cameras were set or whatever.
Yeah, not near as far.
Huh. How early was that you actually laid eyes on him before archery season?
It was during archery season when we found him.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Gotcha.
It was
around the 20th or 23rd.
Yeah, probably somewhere
in September.
So were you in there with him when you saw him?
Yeah,
okay.
We hunted together every day we were in there.
Oh, okay. Yep. Gotcha. Okay, so you guys didn't put in a lot of time early September archery hunting then?
No, we were in that other area to start with. We just went in there for about 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Two or 3 days.
He passed 3 bulls.
Yeah, in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I haven't ever really done that. I'm getting a little bit more particular. I wanted to kill a good bull.
It's hard.
The one bull I was like, you might want to shoot that one. I just saw thirds that were like 16 plus, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a good third. That'd be a hard one to pass up.
Yeah. I was being more particular this time and we had quite a few opportunities before we did kill this bull. I bet we passed up 6 or 8 bulls.
Just calling them in, huh?
Calling them in, trying to cut them off.
Yeah,
if they
a little bit of everything.
Yeah, playing the chess match.
So as you guys were in there hunting, did you kind of decide it's going to be one of these two, unless something bigger shows up?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then were those bulls cooperating to the point where you could did you see them multiple days or?
Yeah, sometimes from a ways off. We'd be a quarter mile off at times. Sometimes
kind of glass them
closer. But yeah, they were kind of generally in the same area every day. I mean, it varied a little bit. They'd go a ways, but they were generally in the same area day after day until that opening day. It changed to opening day. But
So did you have any close encounters with the bow with either one of them?
That was it 2 days before, whenever we were in all those elk, there was, we couldn't tell exactly how many there were. We got on what we thought was a great spot. It was over the top of a low depression, and that big bull was bugling through some timber, and he was only probably 80 yards away, something like that. And we Mark videotaped for 15 minutes thinking that I would get a shot with my bow. We sat there, a smaller bull, probably a, I don't know, 315, 320 bull, not a bull we wanted, went right below us within about 8 yards. That 5 point was up on top of the hill. He got kicked out of the herd. He was up on top of an open grassy ridge right there, but he was like 300 yards away.
He's pretty sad.
Yeah, he looked defeated. I'll say that.
I'm guessing he's the one that broke the sword off of
could be
the big bull,
the 6 point.
Yeah,
the bigger bull.
6 point.
Yeah, that 6 point was just in the timber right there, just bugling and running around and chasing cows, and we were there. It was pretty exciting. And there was 2 bulls I think that got close to us, but they just never would come in that close enough to get a shot, or he wouldn't.
So was that morning or evening, that encounter?
It was in the morning.
In the morning. So are you guys camping up in there? Are you packing in and staying then for those 2 weeks for the most part?
We walked in every morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It kind of changed after Mark, the things happened that we were talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he'd healed up and you guys were going in further or anything at that point. But
We were, we kicked it around, but we're like, that. I don't know. I'm kind of like you. I'm a sucker for big 5 points. Maybe that'd change if I killed one, but I kept saying,
it wouldn't.
We gotta just stick with this one.
Right. I don't blame you for sure. Yeah, I like to get away from the crowds, and I like to get in there as far as I can. And I mean, you guys know I've got those llamas, and you guys have the goats. Did you guys get to use those goats at all this season? Was there any reason to?
I deer hunted mid-September with my brother.
Not during the elk season.
We went in. Yeah, we took him in. Bow hunted with him.
Oh, you did? Okay.
That first trip in the first week of September.
Okay. I was just wondering if it was far enough to make it worth your time. It's like this year where I was hunting, I was trying to justify taking the llamas, but I just couldn't really justify even taking them up there. It would have been nice to have if I would have got something down. I would have come back and got them, but to actually go up in there and camp, it wasn't worth doing. So you got to have some close encounters with that thing.
Oh yeah. We hunted a few different areas. The area we were talking about earlier that we wanted to go into, we had planned on going. That's where we hunted 2 years ago when we killed that bull. And then I had an antelope area that overlapped into the elk area. So we're hunting antelope and elk in the same area.
Oh,
yeah, and that bull, so Mark called the bull he was 12 yards of me, right out in the open, and he was about 5 yards from Mark. Mark couldn't see him because there was cover between the two of them, came right into us. And then he went back across into some willows, and Mark kept calling him, here he come again. He turned right around. I've got a pretty good video of him. He was a 6 point, young 6 point, but it's still exciting.
Oh yeah, that's what archery is all about, right?
Oh man, yeah, it was exciting. Yeah, we had a lot of opportunities, and that's the thing about it too. When you can hunt that long, all the opportunities that you're given, it just makes it just that much more memorable.
And it sure teaches you a lot.
It does.
I mean, I've been fortunate to draw. Well, one area in particular I remember going into, and I want to say I called in that season like 17 bulls, something like that.
Oh,
but it was an education every time you got to do that. It's like, okay, that worked or that didn't. I mean, it's never going to work or not work in every situation, but I definitely learned a lot by doing that. Are you a bugles guy, cow call guy, or do you mix it up?
I used to bugle a lot more. Now I do a lot more cow calling. I just bugle to locate mainly, and then I'll cow call. But I use a Rocky Mountain. It's the brown Rocky Mountain reed.
Mm-hmm.
That's my jam. That's the only one I can run. All the other ones sound like
jam.
All the other ones sound like a wounded dog. But no, I like that call
because it used to be my favorite, and then they screwed it up. It's the
what works for me now.
Yeah, I'm glad it works for you.
It's the single.
Yeah, and it's the brown.
It's like a higher.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it sounds more like a young bull, which is what I like for when elk are starting to get close, I like to sound as young and
Right.
immature as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to intimidate them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I should know what that thing is called, and just because I'm trying to think of it, I won't be able to. But like 7 years ago or so is probably when I started using that, and I used it for a few years. And what I liked about it was it was one of those calls that I could put in, and without moving it much in my mouth or having to reposition after the first sound, I knew as soon as I started to pass air over that thing, it was going to like make the perfect call for me and the shape of my mouth. Whereas some calls, that first sound, it's like, oh, that wasn't quite right, and you have to readjust your tongue or something. Yep. That one was like money. And then they went to some red latex on it. I don't know if you ever saw it when it had a red latex on it.
Right on the end.
It was the actual latex part
really?
that, yeah, it was red. It still had the brown tape, but it had red latex in it, and it went to heck. And I told him at the Toll Archery Challenge, I think 2 years in a row, when I'd see him there, I'm like, you guys ruined this call. And eventually they switched back, but it still wasn't the same type of latex. It's never been the same. Yeah, I was just kind of curious what approach you like to take with them, because this year, I've always kind of mixed it up, but this year I got the impression they did not like me bugling at all. And I'd heard from some guys that were hunting that unit we discussed earlier. They were like, oh yeah, just cow calls. That's all that's working for us is cow calls. And it made me rethink some of my prior encounters. I was like, well, shoot, maybe I should have been cow calling more than I was. Absolutely not bugling at all is what these guys were telling me. So
it seems like they'll just grab their cows and go the other direction is kind of
right.
It's one of those education things that's, I did it 100 times before. I was like, hey, I should probably, it's just always so tempting. It's like, oh, I heard a bugle. I need to bugle. And
right.
Then to keep them talking, which works, but I hunt alone a lot.
I do too.
So if you got somebody else that can keep them talking and you got somebody that can
right.
bow that can stalk in,
right,
that's fine. But if you're bugling and walking towards them, they seems like that area, they'll just grab cows and go the other direction. I
don't like doing that either. What I'll usually do is bugle to locate, and then I just no more bugling, and I'll try to cut the distance in half.
Yep.
And if I'm getting a little unsure which direction to go, I'll try to cow call and then go a little further. And if I just cannot get them to answer that cow call again, and I'm kind of getting a little nervous about where they could be, I might try a bugle to get them to sound off again. But when I was, I think, screwing things up this season is when they were that 20 yards away in that thick stuff, and I'm cow calling and they will not come out. It's like, okay, I'm going to challenge you. And then it's like the next bugle's 200 yards away. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Nothing's working.
worth a shot.
Well, cool. So archery season came to an end, and then, so you went up with the rifle.
Yep.
Was it opening day?
Opening morning, yeah.
Yep,
it was. So explain what happened opening morning, I guess.
Well, we got up there where we had been.
Way too early.
Yeah, we were actually earlier that day than the other days. We sat in the dark for quite a while.
He was excited. I wasn't.
Okay.
Sure.
And as it got light out, there was a bunch of shots below us. Would you count 24 or something like that? But
yeah,
a lot of shots below us. And we figured that's where the elk were. They were either down in that hole or back up there where we were. We figured down in the hole. And we ended up because they weren't up there, we just kind of headed not right at where the shots were, but down in a place back to where we thought that they might come to. Mm-hmm. And
like if they were spooked by the other hunters, type of thing.
Yeah, and I thought that was our best opportunity to, at least find one of those two bulls.
Right.
And we got back down. Not right back where we came. You kind of had to go down a ridge and then back down in the bottom and end up spooking. They did spook those elk back up past us.
So you were able to see the bull or the elk running by?
Yeah, they were a ways off.
Do you think it was that herd?
It was that herd. That's all. Kind of, yeah, that was about the only elk that were in it, because it was a big bunch of, it was, like I said, it was probably, I would say, 60 head of elk. There was a lot of bulls in there with the two big bulls. They went below us, and we kind of guessed as to where they were. And we ended up having to go down, and then we went all the way back up.
Yeah, the elk ended up right where we started.
Yeah.
That happens so often. And I can't even tell you.
I'm not in I was in fairly good shape, but we about half. We didn't run, but we were boogieing back up to the top. And we guessed right as to where they were. It was perfect because there was timber on a steep slope, and then it opened up into a big grassy area, and there was a small bull and a cow, and they weren't that far from us. We didn't see the bigger bull. We kind of had a little high spot with a grassy ridge between us and them. We kind of kept it between us. And Mark saw some white horns. He could just see horns, and he got back down and he told me, he said, just walk around just the edge. I didn't have to go very far, 15 yards, and just kind of sneak. And I stood up, and there he was, broadside, about 75 yards, and I shot him offhand.
Oh, really, offhand?
Yeah, he was just standing there. Yeah, yeah. He didn't go far.
Yeah, he would have fed right into our lap.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
We go shoot at distance and stuff all the time, and then that's always best case scenario when you get to shoot an elk at 75 yards with a rifle.
Oh yeah, I know you shoot. I've seen your posts and stuff. You're shooting all the time, but that's why I always practice shooting my bow at 100.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to take that shot on an animal or anything close to that. But I tell you, something walks in at like 40, and you're like, I got this.
Yep.
Yeah. So same thing applies with the rifle, I'm sure. So
it does.
70 yards. What did you shoot him with? Just curious.
I've got a 7 mag.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife bought that for me like 4 years ago. I shot a 270 for years and years, but we found a deal on this rifle, and it shoots really well. It's a really good shooting rifle.
Nice. So it dropped right there.
He did. He didn't go far at all. 20 yards or something like that.
Perfect. What kind of emotions came over you at that point? Were you like...
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. We were both pretty, yeah, we were probably, Mark videotaped that too, but yeah, it was, you know, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not, but I've never been able to actually hunt a particular animal for a few days, you know, and then actually, you know, kill him. It's just not, I've never done that. All the hunting
it's just
I've
not
done,
how it works.
and especially a bull of that caliber.
Right.
You know, to come up on him, and his character too. He's got really good character. That swirl in that back just kind of twists on both sides in the back. And
oh yeah, the thing was awesome. When I saw those photos, I was like, wow. And it's the character that's just awesome. Essentially, the main beam and the fourth point in opposite directions. You talk about, you can't get any more of a whale tail than that thing.
Yeah, he's cool. We would talk about it, you know, on the way home every day. You know, we'd see him, and there was another, obviously the other big bull that was with him. But if they were both side by side, which one would you?
Right, we did.
Which one would you shoot?
Yeah.
And I don't know. You know, it's like I'd shoot that 5-point. He's so cool.
He's an awesome bull.
Oh, he's cool. He's heavy. You know, he's really heavy. That other 5-point that I killed is not near as heavy as this bull. Really dark horned, almost black.
Holds his mass all the way back. That's what I like, is when they hold.
That's cool.
He's
hold
cool.
it all the way.
So what did he end up scoring? You'd mentioned that earlier.
Mark and Zach scored him at 327.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is just so cool. That thing is just awesome.
Yeah.
Just curious, do you know if those guys that were shooting that morning killed anything, or maybe the bigger bull, or did you ever talk to him or see him? Or
we did see him in the bottom, like down. We saw a couple people walking kind of with urgency. That's when we're like, okay, there's elk somewhere. You know, they bumped them, and that's when we saw him come on. We ended up leaving. I think I'd found an antler that morning even. I left it.
Oh, that's right.
I left some gloves somewhere. It was one of those
you were
days
hustling.
where you we call it a yard sale. Where you leave stuff scattered here and there and everywhere on your way to animals.
Well, that must have happened to somebody else too, because I found one of those Nalgene bottles up there.
Oh yeah. So you made up for like one glove.
Yeah.
Found an Nalgene.
And he had a hole through one of his horns too.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Yep. His right horn had a hole from the opposite side down between his second and third, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the main beam.
Right through the main beam.
Somebody had hit him.
It had to have been that morning then, right?
Yeah.
It had to have been.
Because Dad had shot him on his left side.
Yep.
And the bullet that had hit his horn was on his right side, and it came
No
from
kidding.
the front. Yeah.
Mark repaired it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I would have left it or repaired it.
We talked about that.
I said if it was his bullet hole, I'd keep it.
Yeah, just reminds me of it.
Well, I'm glad they didn't break anything off.
Yeah, me too.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So you got the bull on the ground, then what?
I was run over there and celebrate, of course. But
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you know, even as long as I've hunted, Dad was all about taking care of the meat first. You don't do anything else until you take care of the meat. Mark's kind of taught me over the years to just relax and enjoy the moment, and because it doesn't happen that often, take pictures, and just admire what you've got and appreciate it, because and so we took a bunch of pictures. Took pictures right where we killed him and we moved him a little. We took a lot of photos. We did. That's
nice.
Yeah, and then, we of course started quartering him up and all that stuff. That takes a while, get everything off of him. Mark called Zach, and Zach and his oldest son came up and helped us, which was just to have a kid involved in it like that is so enjoyable. His face was lit up when he got up there.
Oh, I bet. And that's something he'll remember forever.
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
And the more family or friends you get involved in it like that, it's just enjoyable to have everybody around.
Oh, yeah. And it's awesome you guys were in a location where you could make that phone call and have them actually show up and take part. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I can feed off of Mark's energy because it's really enjoyable to be around.
Oh, heck yeah. That's one reason I love hunting so much is, just that sense of accomplishment and the excitement that comes from that. And I mean, there was a time when I played high school and college sports, but you kind of lose opportunities in life to have those sort of adrenaline rushes that I used to get like during high school and college sports. But hunting brings that back, and maybe even to another level beyond what I ever faced, competing in sports. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Feel very fortunate able to do this at my age and have the success that I've had since the boys were both sons both in the oil field for years, and it was pretty hit and miss if we could even hunt. Well, they got their these jobs in Fremont County, and they're good jobs where they take time off too. So since that's happened in the last 10 years, we've had some great falls. Yeah, we've really enjoyed ourselves. I feel very fortunate.
Yeah, and that's pretty awesome to have a job, a career that allows you that time off. I mean, I know there's times where I consider like a career change just just to get more time off. I always joke that it's not a joke. I would literally do it if I could, work 2 months in the summer as a teacher for free to have September off.
Right.
I would do it without pay. I would do it in a heartbeat. There's times where I feel like I'm being held hostage here.
Yeah, just to have a couple days during the week when nobody else is on the mountain.
Exactly. I'm more of an extended weekend warrior. Yeah. I can have the weekend plus maybe a Friday or Monday or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. And like you said, it's great you had the grandson up there and your other son Zach and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very enjoyable.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
Weston weighs probably 65 pounds soaking wet, and he packed a full back strap and both the tenderloins all the way out. It was probably a mile and a half to the pickup.
Oh, yeah.
But he did the same thing the year before with my elk, and that was similar walk.
Yeah, with probably 12, 15 inches of snow.
The best attitude. And,
oh, man.
That's awesome.
We try not to push the kids,
you don't want to make it no fun for them.
But he's all about it. He was blowing these guys' doors off.
He was. Man, I'd smile. I just, and we took pictures, of course, but I just remember the smile on his face whenever he, we had my bull, the head leaning against that big old dead tree. Mm-hmm. He went over there first thing, leaned it forward and got between them. And yeah, he was all about that.
Yeah, you probably have a hunter on your hands there, future hunter for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It is.
Good. That's great. Well, did you have any, I guess, after that entire season, archery and rifle, did you have any like lessons learned or takeaways from that things that you would have done different or anything like that from the season?
I think I learned something about hunting elk in a big herd. Mark showed me something that they don't spook quite as easy as you think they do, because we got up on we saw them from a distance and we were able to get up on them, and they were moving the whole time. It wasn't wide open country, it was kind of sparse timber, but they didn't come out quite where we thought they would. Mm-hmm. But we just about afforded ourselves an opportunity that I don't think if Mark had showed me that I would have done. in all my years of hunting. You got to keep an open mind, be flexible, and sometimes it's difficult. You think you know a fair amount about hunting, and maybe these things aren't going to work, but that I learned something there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You can get away with more than maybe what you thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Anything else you guys want to add, or?
I just enjoy going with family. I mean, every time we're out, we get to talk about life, talk about everything. So it's don't take anything for granted.
Yeah, you definitely can't take life for granted. That's for sure.
If you're able to go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not just about the hunting. I mean, in a lot of cases, if you're with family, it's time to the two of you or three of you, two of you. Just it's important, really important times you won't forget. I hunted with my dad for years, and now I'm able to do the same thing with Mark, and
awesome.
It's very important as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's awesome too that you guys live in the same town, that you have the same interest there in hunting. And I always say it's really, really difficult to find a good hunting partner. It's pretty difficult.
Yep.
And I'm always very jealous of like those brothers and those family groups, father, sons that hunt together, because it's like you got the best hunting companion you could ever find in those types of situations. And there's been times, now my son's old enough to hunt and it's great going out with him, but before he could hunt, it was like, man, I went through some experiences with hunting partners where it was like, man, I would have been way better off by myself here,
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome that you guys have that kind of relationship. So it's awesome.
I just have to bring earplugs if we're sleeping in the same tent. That's all I got.
Yes, you do.
You got to pay for it somehow, right? It can't all be perfect.
Or just pretend that there's lightning. Yeah, wake up. I was snoring, wasn't I? Yeah.
Yes, you were. No, that's great though. That's pretty special. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
Yeah,
Been really enjoyable.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm kind of curious, just because you're here, I'll ask you, but do you guys have any like dream hunts that you ever want to go on?
I've got to figure it out, but I need to research it more. I'd like to go to Alaska to caribou hunt.
Oh yeah.
That's on me. I'm retiring April 1st, so I really need to seriously look at it. It'd probably be, I would think it'd be 26, maybe 27, but that's something I want to do.
Gotcha.
And Mark and Zach and I, all three of us go.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd definitely be my number one to go do. Number one animal to ever hunt and where would probably be Sonora. Mule deer.
Oh yeah.
But just to go with these guys would be way more important, obviously, than going to hunt.
Sure.
There.
Right. Yeah.
We could go hunt chucker in some random spot, and I'd rather go with these guys, than just go by myself.
Sure. No, and I spent years hunting by myself, grizzly country, doing stuff that maybe I shouldn't have been doing, but now that I've got my son to hunt with once in a while, it's way better.
Oh,
yeah. And I don't care at all that he's priority. Like the first shot's his. Like I don't even care if I get a shot anymore. If he can get one, that's awesome,
I did that for years, Zach. I did that with the boys for I didn't shoot a deer or an elk for probably 12, 13 years because the priority was for Mark and Zach to be successful.
Yep.
And they were busy with other things too, but at the same time, it really didn't. And I don't know that I would have told you that a few years before that.
Right.
But once they got into it, it didn't even make any sense for me to be killing anything.
Right. I'm with you. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, sometimes till you have your kids with you, you don't realize that, it's cooler to let them shoot than you take the animal or whatever. So
their excitement once they've got that animal.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's all about right there.
Well, and I've got a bunch of pictures in my office over here up on the wall, and the other day I was looking at a bull that my son shot with his bow 2 years ago, and just that authentic big smile on his face.
Yeah.
Like that smile was on his face for an hour straight. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, hey, pose and smile for this photo. No, he had that big smile on his face. Like it was stuck there for an hour. It was it was pretty authentic and pretty cool. So
well, you get to like live that through him too, because you know what that felt like when you did it. So it's like you get the satisfaction of being the one that gave that smile to him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I'll never forget that bull in particular where we were tracking it. And as soon as you track a bull 100 yards, at least me, I'm being slow and methodical. Yep. And there comes a point where there's always this thought in the back of my head, what if this blood trail peters out? And because on that bull, there were spots where we were starting to lose blood, and I'm thinking, but he was a little bit ahead of me, and to see him turn around with this big smile on his face, I knew what he was about to say. He's like, I see him right over there. And maybe he'll listen to this someday, but I've never told him this, but it was his second bull. So he's 16 now, and he shot 3 bulls with his bow. It was his lucky kid, but I always tell him he has a good guide, but it was his second bull, I guess, that he shot. As we were following the blood trail, I looked up ahead of us a ways through the timber, and we were on this little rise, and I could see that bull laying down there dead, but I didn't say a word. And I'm like, no, I'm going to let him see it.
Yeah.
So it was probably another minute or two, and he turns around, and his eyes roll big, and big old smile. He's like, I see him. I'm like, where? He's down there. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I didn't want to take that from him, so I let him find it. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it makes it so much better than hunting alone, for sure. So
it does.
Yeah, for sure.
And you've got another hunter too, for future.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's going to hunt all his life because of that excitement and enjoyment.
Yep, they'll get you hooked right there. Experiences like that, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I still get pretty darn excited.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I don't know how you couldn't.
Yeah,
and especially with a bow, a rifle's a little different, but I still, even after you shoot, it's just like you get pretty jacked.
Right. Yeah, there's still times where I'm just like, dude, what is wrong with you, man? You've shot a few of these things. Settle down. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, I was watching these turkeys come through this spot. They were coming through about 100 yards from me where I had the blind set up. I'm like, all right, I see where you're traveling. So the next day I sat up over there, and I was like, they're going to come through here again this morning. As soon as that first hen turkey rounded the corner about, 80 yards from me, my heart was pounding so bad I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to tell myself, you knew they were going to come.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, and it's a turkey, man. Settle down. But, man, my heart was going a million miles an hour. I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
That's what it's all about. That bull I killed 2 years before with my bow, oh, man, that was exciting.
Yeah, that was a solid 12 to 15 minute video of back and forth. I was running the Rocky Mountain call that I told you about, plus what is it?
Like a hoochie
Carlton.
Mama? Oh, gotcha.
Back and forth. I left the reed in my mouth, but then I'd blow on the bite ones, and just trying to act like 2 different cows. And he was pissed, trying to find a way over. Coming over. He couldn't figure it out. Set up perfect. He ended up getting. Well, you shot him at 40 yards, but he ended up like 17 yards or 13 yards.
Yeah, but I couldn't see him. He's
raking
right
a tree
there.
And couldn't see him.
Oh, really?
Thick country,
lots
of downfall. And he ended up bumping out. Cow called at the right time. But yeah, working.
Stopped in the only clearing he could. He stopped right in the middle of it.
Yeah, that was the only.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he stopped right in the middle of it and whacked him. And
I've actually got that video too. I'll share it.
That's a good.
Yeah,
video.
I'd love to see it.
I think
you can see everything, of course, what we just said, but then he only made it. I counted from the time I hit him until he crashed was 10 seconds. He went out of sight, and then that was real. I mean, my heart was pumping out of my chest, and I couldn't hardly control myself. Was
that before the shot or after? Or
after
both?
the shot.
Oh, after. Okay.
I mean, I was excited before it too. I mean, you got to calm yourself down. I was taking breaths, but
because it sounds like that was a drawn out deal before you actually got the shot.
I was probably 30 yards behind him, and I just remember looking down after he shot because it had just lasted so long, and I was running calls, and then he shot, and I don't know why I remember this, but I remember looking down, and the hat he's wearing right now is pretty close to the same color.
Yeah,
I remember just this bright white hat that he's wearing. I was like, why did I not notice this before? I thought we were supposed to be wearing camouflage, or, at least some dark greens. But he put your head down, like thankful.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of like the relief that
Oh,
that
man,
it all
that
came
was
together.
exciting. It was exciting.
That's what it's all about.
That was
Start
yeah,
possibly doubting yourself, and then when something like that happens, you're like, man.
yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have time to range that bull then?
Yes.
Yeah.
I ranged a few different areas right there. Yeah.
Before
Gotcha.
he got there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Before he showed up.
Right
Yeah.
before. You're right.
Yeah, there are times I kind of prefer when things unfold real quick, because if I can sit there and listen to them bugling back and forth, and they kind of come in and go back out and come in, or I can see them through the timber, I'm like, oh man. Then I start getting, the adrenaline's going. But I've had a couple times where it just all of a sudden just unfolds, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you don't really get the adrenaline rush until after the shot. There was a time that I heard I'd heard this elk bugling from his bed, and I was like, I'm going to let the sun set, and hopefully this wind will get consistent, start sinking, because it was kind of swirling. I'm like, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. And just as the sun was getting ready to set, I let out another cow call just to relocate him. Well, he bugled, but what I didn't realize was he started coming. So as I repositioned near a trail, thinking, and I actually knocked an arrow just for, anytime I'm sitting there where I've called from, I always knock an arrow just in case. Well, I'd been sitting there for probably 5 minutes, and I hear this twig snap, and I thought, it's either an elk or it's a grizzly bear coming to check out that cow call.
Yeah.
And so I step off the trail, and I get down on my knees, and I get my release hooked on, and I wish I had video of it, because at that time I had my cell phone mounted to my riser, and I looked at that phone, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. And so I sit there, and all of a sudden I see this bull show up, and he's 12 yards from me, and all I can see is one antler, and I'm like, well, that's not the bull that I was here for. I'd come in there looking for another specific bull that had this kicker off its royal. And I was like, yeah, but man, that thing sure looks nice. I can't pass up on this. And the thing was, actually, I think when I stepped it off, it was less than 12 yards, 12 yards max. But I remember kind of looking over him, and then as we were talking about earlier, as I drew my bow, I'm sitting there looking at him, and I'm like, don't forget to get in the peep before you shoot, because I'm looking at him around my bow, and I'm like, I need to get in my dang peep here. But I was cool and collected, just as cool as could be. I was, not excited at all, and I was just dead focused on this frontal shot. And boom, when I let that thing go, there's like this still frame image in my mind of the blood, boom, blowing out of his chest, which was a good sign. I knew right then I got him.
Yeah.
He turned, and long story, he ripped a 13-foot tall tree out of the ground, a live pine tree, and carried it in his antlers about 60 yards to where he died. But the moment I saw that blood, it was like, I've never had an adrenaline rush like that. It went from 0 to 60 just like that. Yeah. And I was rolling around on the ground like an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's all
Just,
about.
please go down, please go. And I've never felt anything like that. It was just the way it unfolded. It went like, it just all happened so quick. I didn't have time to get excited or nervous. It was like, before I knew it, there's this bull standing there, and I shoot it. And then it was just like this adrenaline dump, just boom. It was awesome. Never felt anything like it. But
Yeah.
sometimes I prefer that versus getting nervous before the shot. But well, cool guys. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to record this with me and share your story. So like I said, that 5 point, when I saw a picture of that, I was like, man, that's one of the coolest elk I've seen this season, if not the coolest. Yeah, it was awesome. So I appreciate your time. And
all worked out.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Inviting us.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I think a lot of us just all the effort you put into it. Just keep going.
Right.
Even if you're a little bit discouraged, just keep at it.
Right.
A lot of times you have success in doing that.
Well, that's wise advice, because so often, and I felt it this season a little bit, where you start to get a little discouraged, whether it be pressure, from other hunters or whatever, and it's like, you can't kill elk if you're not in the woods. You never know when something might happen, where luck might go your way or whatever. And like you said, if you're working hard and just staying after it, and sometimes it's getting out there that extra mile or whatever, or just putting in the time. And you guys definitely do that for sure. You guys have a lot of success with the elk and the deer. So
yeah, I've had a lot of opportunities, but It is enjoyable. Anything. It's not just about hunting. Just everything you see while you're out there, and the opportunities with family too. Just that's all. It's all part of all part of it. You know?
Oh, it's all part of it.
Yeah,
So especially when you have family with you, and you know, not to go back to my hunting, but you know, this season, it's the first season my son didn't kill an elk since he was old enough to hunt. But there were times where we ran into this bull moose, and we followed that. We were actually trying to catch up to some elk that were moving, and it just so happened that these moose were moving the same direction. I felt like we were bumping them, but they were moving the same direction, and so we had to spend a lot of time with this bull moose, and my son thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
You know, I think he enjoyed that more than shooting an elk probably. But
and he probably won't forget that.
Right. Coming across like a sinkhole that was, he's like, Dad, check out this sinkhole. I'm like, yeah, what about it? He's like, hand me that stick. And I hand him like the 6-foot long stick, and he sticks it down in the sinkhole, and it just kept going. I mean, he was telling his mom and everybody about that stupid sinkhole. I mean, you never know what they're going to enjoy out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's all about the experience and the time.
It is.
Like you said.
Yeah.
You just happen to get lucky and come out with a pretty awesome 5-point bull too on top of everything. So
yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you know, another thing, I don't know if I said this earlier, but you know, it's great if you kill an animal first day out or second day out. But if you don't, you have all those days, all those different opportunities and experiences that you have along the way. If you're out there for a week or 2 weeks, it's just more hunting that you get to do. Mm-hmm. You know, and the older you get, I guess the more I appreciate it.
Oh, sure.
At least I do.
Right.
When I was younger, I had to kill something, you know, to make it successful. But I'm not that way. And it sure adds to it. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time,
the work begins once you pull the trigger, or the release.
But you guys make a lot of fun out of that, Mark. You do. You guys don't act like it's work when we're packing it out at all. Smiles on your face, joking around, and we're packing an elk out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm kind of jealous of what you guys have there. So it's pretty cool.
We're fortunate.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Yep.